Hello. Today, I thought it would be cool to sort of analyze my gameplay. I kind of wanted to start this coaching series, not necessarily like hard coaching. I don't really want to do that per se, but I'd like to examine some clips of warriors and just kind of give some commentary and some critique on some of the gameplay. I tend to get asked a lot of questions on Discord on like how to play warrior on console and like how to large scale with him, how to 1v1, what's the optimal combos, what's the best way to engage. And I feel like there's no better way for me to explain that than my gameplay and just showing you guys the mistakes I make, showing you guys the good ideas that I have, and just kind of go back and forth and just showcase what like everything that I do as a warrior. So that way maybe you guys can get some ideas of what to do and what not to do, because I do make a lot of mistakes. I get CC'd in some scenarios where I'm just making bad ideas, like doing bad calls, getting a little too greedy, things like that. So just things that I can show you guys through just examples, so that way you guys understand that this is not the best way to do this and this is a really good way to do this. So we'll see what the future holds with how I want to do this series, but for now I'm going to focus on just kind of giving feedback on my gameplay and showing you guys what I'm doing. So I've got two clips today. I'm going to show you guys this clip here from a GVG that happened last Friday or Saturday. I can't remember. It was a large GVG at Kepler. Everybody was fighting around giants, and then it turned into a safe zone nerd battle. And then what happened afterwards was there was some left over. And then this is like everybody was fighting over towards the other spawn, the other respawn point towards the left. And then I got separated from my duo here, and he was fighting off towards Kepler. I think he actually just respawned over there. I happen to still be alive, and I look on the minimap and I see a blue dot fighting two people, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go over there and then make this an even fight. So we're gonna go ahead and watch the clip, and then I'll show you guys what's going on. We'll give you some commentary, and then we will start analyzing the clip. So I E-buff, we're going in, bada bing, get one, nice. He definitely could have killed him. It's just I stole that kill. I get CC'd here. Now just I want to point this out, okay? So right here, after I get the kill, I literally block canceled into my block. So if you guys can tell, once I get the kill, I block immediately, literally immediately. I'm blocking. So right here, you can see me go from pulverize and then C swapping into a block, and then I just get CC'd. Like it literally doesn't matter. So boom, you can see here I'm blocking and I'm getting BSR'd by an archer. So just to go over, actually, we'll do the analyzation later. But right here, it is I'm blocking and then I get CC'd, but the game just said no, you get CC'd. That happens a lot when you BSR for some reason. So if you BSR a player that's using a protection, it will, for whatever reason on console, go through the protection. I've done it myself too. Like I'm fairly certain I can recreate it as well. It's like the motion and desync of the game. I'm not really sure what causes it, but for some reason, if you are moving or if you are just instantly swapping into a protection, it will, for whatever reason, at some point in the animation, it will just break the SA, it will break the forward guard, and it's not even like it actually breaks it, it just goes through it, and for some reason you just get CC'd like you have no protections on whatsoever. So it sucks, but it does happen quite often. So anyway, we get CC'd. Luckily the archer didn't follow up on it, and we reposition towards the Zuko. I drop my DP buff to give him some kind of survivability here. We go in, bada bing, go on the archer, kill them instantly. So now with the range pressure's gone, Izuku gets CC'd right here. I pull up and I go ahead and immediately drop kit, and then the guy V's, and we're good. So overall, it was actually pretty decent play. We kept Izuku alive. I didn't actually realize he wasn't on his Guardian. This is his DK. I did not know this was his DK. So he's actually a lot squishier than I initially thought he was, because I thought he was on his Guardian and I didn't even like pay much of attention to it until I just noticed now. But he's actually much squishier than his Guardian, and being able to keep him alive is actually kind of decent. I felt like I did a pretty good job at keeping him alive, considering that DK is naturally a bit more squishier than most of the DR characters in the game. So for him to actually survive a 2v3, and especially getting CC'd a couple times, it's actually pretty good. Not only that as well, I know Izuku is a great player, so he's insane on DK, and he's also a really good Awakened Guardian as well. So I have my full trust in him that if I put somebody on the floor, he's going to be able to kill them. So having that knowledge of like who you're fighting around, like whether or not you can trust them to kill people, is really good, just to kind of have knowledge on that, like just have that chemistry with whoever you're fighting with. Because if you don't have that knowledge and you're like, I don't know about this guy, I don't trust him or whatever, then you might try and do more aggro things to be the star of the show. But here I can full-heartedly trust Izuku to the point where if I get a grab or a CC and he's not CC'd, he will 100% drop kit and kill them very easily. He's very geared and he's very good. So now let's break down this clip here. Okay, so once we e-buff, we go in here. All right, so once I go in, there's already a person on the floor. Now I couldn't tell whether or not if this player was on the floor. I just saw a red name and I'm like, I'm just gonna dive in and just try and CC them. And as we can see here, he's surrounded by 2 players. He's being sandwiched, right? So we've got 1 player here and then we've got 1 player here. Izuku is in the middle right here, and if we take a look at the mini map, we've got a player coming from the right as well. So I've got a lot of factors that I need to worry about here. I can't really see Izuku in this tornado. I don't know if he's on the floor. I don't know if he's iframing. I don't know if he's protected. I don't know anything. All I know is that one of these 2 players need to move so that way he can have some breathing room and reposition himself. So I see that this guy's low HP, so we go in and then we go for an overwhelm, grave digging, slashing, which is very good. Clean block cancels, clean engage, and we got one off the field. Izuku, I'm pretty sure, could have 100% killed him without me being there because he was already at 1 HP, so we were kind of solid. But I definitely didn't deserve that kill. That was a kill still, 100%. But anyway, moving on here, I go in for the reckless on the Guardian to try and get a double CC, and then he iframes it. So he's iframing this and he repositions. Okay, so if we go back just a smidge here, you can see he's standing right there and getting ready to iframe, and then he's going to iframe off to the right. I don't know where he's going just yet, but he iframes to the right and then he's gone. And now we have to worry about 2 different targets. As you can see, there are 2 now. There are 2 targets that we have to worry about here. So we've got, I don't exactly know what class this is quite yet, and then the Guardian is rotating over towards that person. So here's the problem now. All right, there's a new target on the field and I'm blocking because I see that they're all in this position. So if you look at the way I'm blocking, I'm facing the direction of where the enemies are. So that's one of the optimal choices of whenever you are going to play warrior and how you're doing multi-scale fights. When you're dealing with multiple targets on the field, you have to point your block and block cancel in the direction of where they are attacking you from. If you just try and block randomly or whatever, especially against a class that's an archer and a guardian, those characters have high damage values. They can instantly kill you. They can do a lot of damage and be able to take you off the field in a very short period of time. So when it comes to that shit, you have to be very careful and adequately block. If you do not block correctly, you could potentially just kill yourself and then ruin the team fight for you and your duo partner. So even though I blocked correctly, the game kind of fucked me over and just still CC'd me. And then here, we'll just take a look here. We've got the Guardian repositioning and engaging on Izuku. He did not pay attention to me. It doesn't look like he's going for Izuku. The archer is trying to drop damage on me. He might have actually even tried to CC me, but I may have resisted. So what's going to happen here is I need to find a way to reposition, because there are 2 targets on my left and my right. All right, now somebody might have the idea, let's just run it down mid. So here's the problem with going down the middle. Okay, warrior, all right, his movement is all forward guard. 90% of his movement, not even 90, literally 100% of his movement is forward guard. So the problem with that is the positioning, that if I were to take the middle route and just try and reposition going towards that mountain and just face a different direction, it doesn't really do much for me, because my blue dot that I need to reconnect with is literally over here to the right of us. So I'm now in the crosshairs of 2 targets and I need to find a way to link up with my blue dot. So Izuku repositioned himself over here to the right, so I need to find my way to him. But going through the middle is the shortest and easiest way, but it's a gamble. I could potentially get CC'd running it down mid. I've got an archer to my right, so if the archer shoots a CC and in my forward guard movement, he could definitely CC me in forward guard movement going down the middle, because I'm putting my back to both of them. And I also have to worry about the Guardian, because the Guardian actually has mid-range CC options that she could do, and this seems to be a suck Guardian. So if I run it down mid in this position, they have more than enough range to throw a baseball swing right to my cheeks and just fucking spread them open and just fucking get in there, and there we go. I'm dusted. My bun's completely cooked. So going down the middle is never a good option in a scenario like this for warrior. All our movement is forward guard, so running it down middle, completely the worst option. So I choose the big brain play. Once I get up and I realize I'm gonna have to reposition, I could have gone this way, which honestly I think would have been a lot smarter because it would have potentially blocked both of their potentials of hitting me. So what I do instead is I go around to the left, but this isn't the best option. Going to the left is not, I wouldn't say this is optimal. We're going to just say like this is not optimal. It's an okay option, but it's not the best option. Going to the right is better because one, there's rocks to the right that I can hide behind so the archer can't shoot me necessarily. The only problem is he could stand on top of the rocks and potentially have the high ground. So that's the only real issue, but I could still block him, right? The guardian over here, it's too far. He would essentially have to chase me to the right and he wouldn't have any real CC options to, you know, put me on the floor. So not only would going to the right put more distance between me and the guardian, where the guardian has no choice but to just let me run away, the only thing I would have to worry about is the archer right here in the bush. And that's easy to deal with because all I have to do is move well enough to where he can't necessarily shoot me with an optimal CC. So that is a far easier option than what I chose to do. So if we take a look here, I decide to go left, right? So I reposition to where the guardian can't hit me, and then I go all the way up to Izuku, and then they link up together. So now that this is basically a reset. So we've reset here. Me and Izuku linked up, we reset, they linked up, they reset. So now it's a fair 2v2, and it's just whoever the better players are gonna win. So from this point, I buff Izuku, and then we need now in this scenario when the engagement is about to start, this is the most important thing ever. You see my HP, okay? My HP bar is literally ass. It's like I'm 40% right now. Both of these two are probably full HP. So actually maybe not, this one's like half, so but they have more HP than me, so I have to be kind of reserved. But I got a little ballsy here. I could have thrown a heal to potentially, you know, get a little bit more HP, but that would have burned a little bit of my damage and it wouldn't have been the most optimal scenario. So the most important thing that I need to make a decision here, right? That's the most important thing that I have to do. So do I go after the guardian or do I go after the archer? If you guys chose guardian, you're wrong. All right, archer is the target. Guardian is not the move. All right, so here we go. So we're gonna go ahead and do this. Okay, so guardian or archer, check mark, and then guardian X. Why do we go after the archer? Because he's squishier and more of a threat than the guardian. The guardian is only a threat if they're in front of me and dropping damage, right? And as long as Izuku can iframe and dodge the guardian, which, you know, he's on DK, he can definitely iframe for days. The guy's the king of iframes. He's not gonna fucking get CC'd by a guardian, at least not like very easily. So the only real threat is going to be an archer dropping high level damage. This is an old archer player from what I understand. I haven't seen the name Chris Kyle in a long time, so I'm not sure which player owns that name or how geared they are, but I do know it's a veteran player. So this person definitely has some gear on them, and just leaving him alive would be the worst option because he could just free fire into that, break my guard, and potentially just kill me outright because I'm only at 40% HP. So him living is not a good idea. He's got to get off the field ASAP. So I make the conscious decision immediately in a split second. Once the engagement starts, I'm like, all right, archer's got to die first. Bing, I get behind him, speed move. This guy was not ready for it. He was not ready for the engagement, and I get behind him, and then bada bing, hit the overwhelm, grave digging, slashing. Great engagement with good block cancel mechanics. I was consistent. I stayed in there, got in the pocket, dropped the right cancels, did the right engagement to make sure that he stays on the floor. Izuku had the same idea. He went for the archer because he understands that that's the guy that is going to be more of a threat. Not to mention, as you can see, they played this very poorly. They played this very poorly. Instead of the archer playing off of the guardian, instead he decided to separate himself from the guardian. Look at how far away the guardian is. I'm gonna put a dot on his on him right there. So look at the guardian, right? The guardian's right here, and then look at where we are. We are all the way up here near the mountains. He's too far in order to help his teammate. He's too far. Why would you separate yourself? This guy played very selfishly. He played very, very wrong, and he should have stayed behind the guardian and let the guardian, you know, us go to him. That would have been the most optimal play for the archer, but this guy went full balls to the wall and wanted to do some, you know, whatever kind of solo play in order to try and get a double kill, and instead it was not the right move. Like, me and Izuku are two, especially Izuku, he's a very good player and I'm a decent warrior. Like, we would have to royally fuck up. Like, we would have to be so bad and royally fuck up to die to an archer with our characters. I would basically have to stop blocking and just let him free kill me, and Izuku would have to stop iframing. Both of us have great kits for engaging on a archer. We have great kits for engaging on that shit. Not to mention, look at how he positioned himself. This is the problem that the archer really fucked up with, okay? So the archer positioned himself here, okay? So let's analyze this area, okay? So the archer decided to put himself here. This is not the worst position, because putting his back to the wall means that if he throws frontal guard abilities or whatever, it's going to be very difficult to get at his back. But he didn't position himself quite correctly because his back is not fully to the wall, and I was able to still get behind him just enough in order to still get the CC on him. And then Izuku's engaging on the front. Now, why is he engaging on Izuku? I'm not exactly sure. I guess maybe he thought that this would be the better target to go after, but you know, Izuku has iframes. He's going to dodge all the arrows. You might as well go for the guy that can't dodge him. I do have a pretty high block, and I also am geared, so I'm like 587 DR in this clip. So it would have taken a lot for him to break my block, but in order for him to live and be able to take one of us off the field, he's not going to be able to kill Izuku with the iframes that DK has. He has a more of a higher chance of killing me by breaking my block and then leaving the Guardian to being able to, you know, do damage to me. But instead, he's choosing to attack Izuku, which, you know, it's wasted potential. You're not going to be able to do damage to a DK that's iframing. It's just not optimal per se as an archer. As an archer, you want to pick the targets that you can easily kill with high burst damage, and Izuku is not it. He's just not going to be it. Neither of us are easy to kill. Izuku's not easy to kill because he's got iframes. I'm not easy to kill because I'm tanky as fuck. So no matter what, he needed to play this with his team, and he needed to position better. Had he positioned further down towards where the Guardian was, I would have had to worry about the Guardian damage. I would have had to worry about Black Blood Circle. I would have had to worry about a grab. I would have had to worry about multiple AoE CCs and damage drop. Like, I just would have had more to worry about, but instead, this is an archer that has to choose between one or two targets. He has to pick one of us. He has to choose between me or Izuku. So we win that. No matter who he chooses, we win. Not only that, but he's just standing here. Instead, he could have done this the super armor backflip and just gone this way and just tried to get out of that scenario and reposition towards the Guardian, but he full commits to this, whatever this is, and then he ends up getting CC'd by me, and then me and Izuku drop kit, we kill him, and then now the Guardian, look at how long it took for the Guardian to get from here, right where he was standing by the horse, and then he had to go all the way over here to where me and Izuku were to try and peel for this guy, and he took forever. And now he's barely up the hill, gassed out of stamina, to just fucking trying to get up there, and then it's like what like you're too late. Your fucking dude's dead. Now it's 1v2. So I go in, I engage on the Guardian. I go for a ground smash. That was a little too far. I don't know why. That was kind of wasted. I should have went for a grab, and I actually would have gotten it too. So if we take a look here on my engagement, after I kill the archer, he's moving up the hill. I reposition, and I could have grabbed. I would have had to have been a little bit more accurate and tried to position better, but I would have been able to hit it for sure. So he's going in, and I see Izuku's actually getting CC'd. I'm not actually sure what CC'd him because he's on the floor. I don't actually have any clue what CC'd him. Let me see if I can kind of see. Yeah, I have no. Did he get CC'd by the Guardian? Like, I don't know what hit. I guess he got CC'd by the Guardian. I guess the distance on that skill is very far. I have abilities turned off, so it's kind of hard for me to tell, but it looks like the mid-range CC that this Guardian has is pretty high up there. Now, interestingly enough, I was actually throwing some damage and he was blocking it, so I guess it is what it is, and even though I was at his back. So he goes in and he iframes my ground smash and repositions towards Izuku to try and get him off the field. He goes for the re-CC. I get behind him with balance strike. I throw Heaven's Cleave in order to make him uncomfortable and also to potentially try and get a CC with a float. He repositions to get away. Now, he tried to use his side RT iframe, but it's on cooldown because he already used it, so it's about a 5-second cooldown, I believe. I think it's something like that. So it wasn't quite off a cooldown yet, and because he repositioned with it, he was open, and I did the unthinkable, boys. All right, this is not something I ever recommend you should do because I had better options. I could have thrown Overwhelm, I could have thrown anything else. We have to take a look at my cooldowns, right? I have 1 second on slashing right here. So slashing the dead, I have exactly 1 second on this cooldown. So this is good for movement and damage. And then I have 2 seconds on grave digging, which is my core skill. So my bound on grave digging is 2 seconds. I have 7 seconds on ground smash right here. So that one's it's not ready yet. And then Heaven's Cleave now, after being used, is on a 4-second cooldown. So the only CC skills that I have is my grab, which I don't know that I want to try and grab an iframing Guardian quite yet, because I'm not sure if he's going to try and get out of it or anything like that. So I don't want to waste my grab. But I also have Overwhelm. Those are my only 2 grab options that are other than what I chose. So I went for a different option. I wasn't too confident in my ability to overwhelm from this distance because he's actually kind of far from me. This is pretty mid-range. So had I chosen the option for overwhelm, that would not have been the best option because it could have missed. It could have not hit him whatsoever, and that would have been not the greatest, option. So instead, I chose ankle break, which has a bit more distance than overwhelm and also is a bound, which is pretty nice. So going into this, you can see I immediately go into overwhelm, or not overwhelm, sorry, ankle break. So we ankle break, get the CC on him, and then we start dropping kit. We're doing damage, and then boom, Izuku gets up, he's about to drop damage, and then the guy V's and he gets out, which is fine. We won the fight. We killed 2 targets, forced a V. That's an objective W between me and Izuku. We 2v3'd effectively, got multiple players off the field, and burned a V. We win that. We won. And all of that attributed to just them trying to focus Izuku and ignoring me. The only time that they ever focused me is when I engaged, and it was the archer that tried to BSR me and kill me. Had he been successful, they would have had probably an easier time killing Izuku, or at least, not, dying to us. But instead, they focused Izuku a little too much, and they should have focused on the guy that they had more optimal choices of actually doing, damage to, right? Because I don't have iframes like that. They also just misplayed really badly because when they linked up together, they did really good by trying to, stay together and everything like that. So instead, like right here, they linked up. Why would you break the link up? That was the whole point. We reset. It's an official 2v2 now. You guys are linked up and ready to engage. And for some reason, the archer just goes full weirdo, and then he just completely, he purposely separated himself from the Guardian. The Guardian, I don't know what the Guardian, he's just holding block AFK over here, but I'm the guy that holds block, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's like, yo, Lord Squiddies, all he does is hold block. All he does is hold block. What about this guy? What do you mean all I do is hold block? I'm holding block being proactive. This guy's holding block eating a sandwich. This guy's playing Minecraft on his second monitor. I'm fucking moving. I'm about to kill this guy. Come on now. Stop sleeping on me. I'm making moves and this guy's fucking snoring. So we're going in. Archer completely separated. He went 6 miles in the opposite direction of where his partner was, only to get CC'd by me and dusted in an instant. And then the Guardian moving at the speed of mayonnaise, trying to fucking peel for somebody that died 20 minutes ago. So it's not the optimal choice. When you're going into a situation like this, target acquisition is important, and mine and Izuku's were just better. And because they misplayed, they made it easier for us. Had the archer stayed behind the Guardian and just let the Guardian frontline, we would have had a more difficult time trying to get to the archer, but the archer made it very simple. You just get behind him and then you kill him. He has nowhere to go. He has nowhere to go. He can't backpedal any further. There's a fucking mountain behind him. If he tries to go this way, he runs the potential of just getting hit by me and Izuku by putting his back to us and just dying to raw damage. If you look at his HP, he's already at half HP right here. So all Izuku and I have to do is just drop damage on him. If he uses one SA skill to try and escape, he dies because Izuku is going to kill him with like 350 AP, and then I'm going to kill him with 311. So like, no matter what he did here, the only real option is his BSR iframe. Had he burned or used a BSR iframe here, he would have actually lived and he could have repositioned this way towards his Guardian. That was the archer's only play from this mistake. From this mistake, all he had to do was BSR iframe, but if you guys remember, he fucking BSR'd me at the start, so he had no BSR built up, so he couldn't use his BSR iframe. So because he burned it, he has no movement. All he has is SA movement and forward guards, and that's it. He has no iframe at all. Maybe he could have rolled out of the way with that one iframe that they do when they roll, but I don't know that that would have, you know, saved him, if I'm being honest. But either which way, positioning here, there's no tactical advantage. There's no sort of advantage for him being in this position. His back to the wall is a decent idea if he wasn't fighting two people with over 700 gear score that have 309 plus AP. So it's not optimal. It's just not optimal. The only thing that he should have done is stand right over here with his Guardian and then just fired shots into me and Nezuko and forced us to be uncomfortable and try and work around the Guardian. All the Guardian had to do was wait for us to just move, and then he just drops kit and then throws a bunch of damage and then tries to, you know, peel for the Archer. That's all he had to do. The Guardian has a lot of damage and can for sure kill both me and Nezuko with just raw damage drop. So as long as the Archer played around the Guardian, it would have been perfect. He would have been able to kill us, maybe. Me and Nezuko could have still played that really well and won that fight, but we'll never know because the Archer decided to kill himself by going over here to this random mountain, and I don't know, he's sightseeing, I guess. And honestly, I think that's where we're gonna cut it. I was gonna do another clip review, but this went on for like 27 minutes, so like, yeah, you know, it is what it is. I might do more of these, we'll see in the future, but for right now, I thought this was a good starter. So this is a nice little kind of, you know, 2v3 situation. It was really fun, it was really cool, and I thought I played this well enough. There were some things I could have done differently that would have been more optimal, but I would say coming out on top was a pretty good W, and I played this decently well. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye bye.